Miss Speck asked me to answer some questions for her class, and so I have them here and I'm going to answer them for you. The first question is, where did you start in Georgia? So I flew into Atlanta, Georgia, and then it was about an hour drive north of Atlanta, and it's this place called Amicalola Falls State Park. And the trail, the Amicalola Falls part, is really just an approach to the Appalachian Trail. It starts on Springer Mountain. So I hiked about 8.5 miles to get to the start of the trail. Why did you want to do it? So I found that I've done another long trail like this before. There are actually 3 that are over 2,000 miles in the United States. One is called the Pacific Crest Trail, one is called the Continental Divide Trail, and one is called the Appalachian Trail. And a couple years ago, I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail, which goes from Mexico to Canada through California, Oregon, and Washington. So it goes over the Sierra Mountains and the North Cascades in Washington. So it's a really awesome experience. I went and did that right after I graduated college, and I think that that's really the start of everything for me. I had been used to hiking before, but I had never really been backpacking, and I wanted to take on that challenge and experience being out in the wilderness for months. And so I went backpacking for the first time and got all my gear and researched everything online and got started. And you don't really have to know a ton to do something like this. It's really just a repeat of a few days out in the backcountry, and then you resupply and get more food, which is another question later. But it's really not as extreme as people think it is. It's just a bunch of different experiences all lined up together. So you don't really have to know everything to get started. And I wanted to get out there and experience that. And when I finished, I really wanted to let myself do another long trail because it was something that I missed so much. So I researched the Appalachian Trail, and I ended up getting started with that a year and a half after I finished the Pacific Crest Trail. My favorite part of the trail, I've got to say, was really just getting to know other hikers. When I began the trail, I got into a group of hikers. We kind of met each other while we were hiking and ended up joining up together and planning on camping together and everything. And that was really great, and I had a lot of fun with them. And we have so many great memories through the Smokies, through going through Tennessee and going through Virginia, and it was just a really great time together. And then I got off trail for a couple weeks to visit family, and when I got back on, I was in a whole nother group of hikers because all the hikers I'd been with had moved forward. So when I was hiking on my own, I would see people I hadn't seen before, and I made new friends, and that was really great too, to meet new people and just kind of get to meet people who like the same things I like. What wildlife have you seen? So I've seen black bears, rattlesnakes, deer, frogs, lots of squirrels and chipmunks and mice, and that's basically all I can think of. I didn't end up seeing a moose, but my friend Butters did. That's his trail name. And the favorite animal I've seen would probably be, there's these little salamanders that you see on the trail. They're like orange and really bright colored, and those are really cool, so I think those were my favorite. One thing I mentioned was we have different names on trail. So when you're on trail, you don't want to have a million Johns or Marys or Rachels or something. So everyone comes up with a different name to go by on trail, like a nickname. And people on trail give you your nickname. It's called a trail name. And it's usually based on something that happens while you're on trail. So my friend Butters, he started out the trail with 3 types of butters in his bag. He had peanut butter, cookie butter, and butter, and so someone named him Butters. And I also have a trail name. My trail name is Forklift, and that's because I was named Uplift for encouraging people on trail, and then a few days later they were trying to remember it and said Forklift, and they thought that was so funny, so that ended up being my trail name. How did you get food? So I would carry a bunch of food in my bag. I would have enough to last me 3-4 days, and then I would get to a road where I knew there was a town down the road. I had a map so I could tell when there was going to be a town with a grocery store. So I would either get a shuttle or I would hitchhike to get into town and get my food, and then hitch or shuttle back to where I left off on the trail and kept going. So I would just repeat that over and over again until I finished the trail. How did you charge electronics? So I had a power bank that could charge my phone twice about, and I would keep my phone on airplane mode a lot and try to save battery. So I could run on like 6 days without charging my phone, without having like a wall to charge like my power bank and my phone and all of my things at once. But I would go when I was in town grocery shopping. I would get all my stuff charged up while I was doing that, so I would charge things that way. And that's all your questions. So if you have any more questions, let me know, and hope you guys have a really great time outside this summer. Happy trails.